Glor Nilfgaard! Hab de Moritz et Nazair Brigade met zine rapporten. Welcome to reaction video. Today we will talk about the Nilfgaardian armors from the Witcher Netflix series. And we will compare them with real historical armor and of course with gear of our company. That means project of Nazair Brigade, which was established a few years ago. Our main goal is to recreate fantasy gear in realistic, functional way. We are participating in LARPs. If you are interested, our Facebook page and Instagram link in the description. And of course, we will talk about it more in other videos. So, now back to the armors. At first, we need to define what armor is and what it should do. It is a protective gear that a human or any sentient species will take into the battle to improve their chance of survival in combat. So, the main function, it should protect you. And then there are two other important aspects, and it is weight and mobility. If you make the armor too heavy, then you just can't wear it around, and it creates a problem. If you can't wear an armor because it's too heavy, you can't fight, you can't actually be part of the battle. So you are, as a soldier, absolutely useless. And of course, the mobility, it's highly limited by your anatomy. Because the armor have to follow the construction of your skeleton. Where you have joints, where you have muscles, it needs to move with you. It needs to move fluently. Otherwise, you will be bulky and you will be ineffective in a combat. So the protection, weight and mobility, those aspects are always the case around which you create the armor. Because it's protective gear for a soldier in a combat. So, here we have an example of historical armor. This is a knee protection. And it's really mobile. It's hardened steel, it's very light. It does exactly what it should do. It is a protection for you to use in a battle. And here we have a piece of our Nilfgaardian stylized armor. They're almost the same. Only the style is different. But the basic function, the mobility, the weight and the protection, they are always in a balance. So right now, the first season of the Netflix Witcher. And the famous or infamous Dragon Balls. What is that creation? Why? Just, what is the purpose of the armors? Yes, they are created on a mass scale, like large numbers. Yes, but you should at least look how the historical armors which were created on a large scale look. Because this is not a thing. In the Netflix series, they are just oddly shaped, bulky stuff which doesn't fit anyone, and it's covered in leather, which is like wrinkly. Why? You see, we also have a cuirasses, or the upper part of cuirass covered in leather, but it's smooth. And in fact, it's much easier to create the leather coverage smoothly than the weird wrinkly shredded stuff. What was the designer's mindset behind this stuff? I have no idea. The real historical armor needs to be at the first functional. And even the fantasy armor, because you're still working with the human body. Witcher, it's clearly set in a world that is inspired by medieval Europe. And we are still talking about humans. The humans in the Witcher fantasy world still looks like normal humans. So the armor has to be shaped like historical armor. They need to be similar. at least similar. The design or the decoration of the armor could be different because it depends on the taste of the culture. But the basics are still the same. So when you have the armor in the first season of The Witcher, the cuirass is weirdly shaped. It's almost like broken in, so it will catch full impact of the enemy blow. And it's wrong. You want your armor nicely angled, so the blow will slide aside and you will just take a part of the energy. If you take full energy of the strike, well, there's one thing: shockwaves. Even if the armor will resist the blow, you will still get shockwaves. That's not fantasy, that's physics. And that thing can break your ribs. You don't want that, you want to survive, not foolishly die. Second season of Netflix Witcher series. Are the Nilfgaardian armors any improvement? Yes, definitely yes. It's a step in the right direction. For example, the shape of the cuirass. It's almost the right shape, so yeah, top marks! You done it right. It's the design, the exact design is kind of more like a fairy tale than medieval European fantasy, but okay, that can be a stylization. But the shape is right, the material, steel, that looks right. Other stuff like helmets, well, they were actually better in the first season. In the first season they were clearly inspired by real historical salad. For example, like this stuff. Historical inspiration. In the second season it's weird, maybe inspired by some Arabic stuff. No idea, but it doesn't seem so really functional. The pauldrons in the second season, well, yes, they are fairly shaped, good size, they are movable, so they could function. Then you come down for elbow protection. Well, it's rightly shaped, but then there is a photo of the extras and he has a elbow on his forearm. I just keep asking myself, why? Why there is no one to tell him that the elbow protection should be on the elbow, not on the forearm. Come on, guys, please take at least some historical advisor or experienced reenactor who knows how the armor should work. It will improve all the stuff, all the visuals. You can have your artistic point of view. I have nothing against it. That's the good stuff. You stylized the armors as a artistical interpretation of a fantasy world. Well enough. But you at least should know how the armor should work. Well, in the movies, or in the movie productions, or in the game industry, you can see the missing aspect of the historical advisor. They are really good designers and artists, and sometimes the creations are amazing. They are almost breathtaking, but they are missing the one part, and that is the sense of functionality. For example, you have the Lord of the Rings. There was a historical advisor, namely John Howe, member of the Company of St. George, probably the first reenacting group in Europe and, well, in the world. And he gave the armor designs that sense of reality. It's still fantasy world, but they have the bit of a realism, and that means functionality. You believe in that armors. You believe that those soldiers who wears it. And it doesn't matter if they are Gondorians or Orcs, whatever. You see that the base of the armor design that is protective with still manageable weight and mobility. And this is the point. Any movie or game, even in fantasy setting, could use just a little bit more of realism. Hope you find this video interesting, give us a like, and of course please leave us a comment. What do you think about Nilfgaardian armors from the Netflix Witcher series? You can look forward to other videos, tailoring, crafting, cooking, and more comments about the armors and other gear. So subscribe so you won't miss anything, and see you next time. Lord Nilfgaard.